and reason you can give. So I want to direct us this so that we don't belabor on this. Kindly, Bwana CS, it was not just for formalities and that we called you and this statement was sought. Maybe you can tell us maybe how much time you need so that you up and give us a follow-up question, a satisfactory question that is convincing that justice is being done to this poor Kenyan. Kindly.
Mr. Chair, unlike many other cases, first of all, let me say that we need to appreciate that this was done expeditiously. For a file to leave DCI to DPP is not, it can show the goodwill in the first place, that the question of cover-up is not there. The desire for the DCI to make sure that someone is prosecuted was there. It's just that the DPP wants certain loose ends be tied together. And so the intention to prosecute this person is there. And I don't think there is room for cover-up, because what's all remaining is the ballistic report.
It's very crucial.
Which is very crucial, and it's not going anywhere because you can't hide anymore. There's nothing to hide. You have the spent cartridges, you have the process being undertaken by DCI. I also want to confirm that I visited DCI when I became CS in this ministry, like 2 months ago. Yes, February. Mr. Chair, you need to really still support the lab. The lab requires a lot of resources, not just the fiscal resources we are giving, not just the money to buy a lot of the laboratory equipment, but you also need retention of human resource so that they can be able to retain human resource at a certain level. You also know that we have so many cases involving guns across the country. So there's a long line of ballistic analysis on different crimes, banditry, robberies, and so forth across the country. And so this is part of it, of the process. So, and sometimes each one of them is urgent. All of them are urgent. The magistrate is demanding the report to be presented in this. The DPP is demanding a report. So I can give assurance to the public that in the fullness of time, this person will be charged. There is no escape route. Somebody somewhere will be charged. The same way I gave the same undertaking on the case of Nakuru, which was also involving KWS. Maybe at some point, we need to perhaps have a meeting with the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, and particularly DG KWS, on disciplinary cases involving a number of the officers in KWS, not just in that area, but across, and how best that can be handled. You know, for the police, we have the internal mechanism within the police, and we have IPOA. So how do we handle the KWS? Do they have a mechanism internally to be able to deal with these officers? Do they even have processes of suspending these people until their case is concluded? So even if they have not been charged, they should be able to take internal disciplinary measures until you can prove that the specific officer was involved. Like every other Kenyan, it concerns me that 23 people went to arrest one person. There is no evidence that that person was armed with a gun, and that eventually, you had to use a gun for 23 people against one person. I think it's an armed individual. So in the presence of his family, I think it is a matter of justice, and we must be able to follow this issue to the ultimate conclusion. So, Mr. Chair, maybe in our next session, you can prompt me, even if it is on different issues. We can be, by that time, we should see how far we have gone. I do not also wish to, because the police and the DCI operates independently, and I cannot direct them, I do not also wish to give an undertaking that in 1 month it will be done. But using our good officers, we must be able to facilitate and push them to do so. But what we will not allow is a situation where there will be cover-up in the end.
So do we say, fair to say, in good time?
Why don't we revisit this issue again in another 3 months and say, in 3 months we can give an update as to how far we've gone, and maybe at that point in time we can come with the DCI himself so that he can also express some of the challenges he's facing. But hopefully, in those 3 months, both the case of Nakuru and the one for Tana River will have gone to court, because you can see also DPP was dissatisfied on certain issues. At some point, it will leave the DCI; it will go to the DPP and to make a judgment on the prosecution.
Anyway, while on that, so that I give Wario or Liz, you raise a very, very pertinent question on definitely the role of the IPOA versus the issue of gun rangers and other gun holders. Of course, their mandate is very limited to the police. And I think it's a conversation. I remember there is a bill being proposed by, I think, Senator Fobomet or something like that, try to expound the mandate of the IPOA to include the game rangers. Because even these rangers in the game reserves by the counties, I remember the CS, our very good CS here, we went to Narok to launch these rangers to be NPR. And they have got very sophisticated guns. And at times, the regulations or how these guns are controlled is not very good, Buenos Aires. And it's good to admit that. You can even able to do an investigation. They don't report to our police command. And at times, these gun holders, including the game rangers, they become a militia of governors. In fact, in my own county, it is almost akin to that. It's an issue that we may bring to attention very soon. They don't report to any command of the police. They just become a militia of a governor. Of course, I'm also interested to be one, but I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. So I think because it's not a subject of the day, it's an issue that we are considering as a committee, really to have an engagement with the ministry on how we are going to farm up the loose end on the issue of these guns. So let's go really just a minute and Wario, so that we close this and go to the next. Yes.
And I really want to thank him because the other day he was in Nakuru, he was able to speak to the parents. But I'm happy that, again, he has repeated that he is going to bring all these reports in 3 months. But CS, it is so scaring to discover that the people who are supposed to protect the lives of the people are the ones killing these innocent people. And what I want to ask today as a member of this committee, as a leader from Nakuru, if someone is found to be having maybe he has done some mistake, I don't think it is right for the security people to kill instead of arresting and taking them to court instead of killing. It's a concern, and it's really bringing a lot of problems everywhere. As parents, we cannot allow this. As leaders, we cannot allow this. But I want to thank you because you've committed yourself that in 3 months you'll bring a report that will speak on Honorable Warriors and the Nakuru matter that concerns the AWS and Kenya Forest Service, where 2 people lost their lives, and parents are still waiting for the reports. Thank you.
You want to talk about it?
Yes, on the same.
The killing. Then we give a...
Thank you, Chair. For the purposes of record, my name is Professor Akuja, Member of Parliament for the constituency. Chair, I think KWS has been spot on killing innocent people. A case in point is where KWS sprayed bullets using an helicopter in Turkana, in Lake Turkana. Members of Parliament for those particular constituencies, especially Turkana North and Turkana Central, raised us even in this committee, and efforts to reach even the DG for KWS has been futile. And that case came way back, like somewhere in February. And that case, nobody has followed. So KWS has gone even beyond using helicopters to spray innocent people and kill them, and are not taking taking anywhere. So CS, you need to comment on that because that has been raised several times and nobody's giving an ear. Thank you.
So before Kekai, Honorable CS, I want you to know on the issue of the electoral, actually it came to the House separately. And even the Speaker suggested that we had a joint meeting between the interior and the DG, KWS. But the DG, KWS, I'm sorry to say, it became dodgy. Dodgy. And so kindly, this is your docket. I think I follow up on your suggestion of my colleague. Maybe you look at what you convene a joint so that we see the intervention on the killing of Kenyans in electoral by the Kenyans. So maybe let Kekai, then Wario, you will wrap up and close this.
Thank you, Chair. For the CS, we see it in the corporate, we see it in the developing societies. Because when we ask about how long will it take to finish a forensic test, we're talking of 3 months. Is it possible within your plan as part of good practice to ensure that there is a documented process flow so that where you sit or where the PS sits, if in the event there's an issue, a similar issue coming up, we can say within 14 days, if a gun or the remains are provided, we are able, you can say it on top of your, that look, within 14 days we'll have this sort of a process flow. Because if you talk to your counterparts in developed societies, they will actually tell you we can get it even within 72 hours. You've mentioned the issue of laboratories. With our friendly devolved partners, because when you talk about budget, we're struggling as a country in terms of funding, but I've made efforts to speak to our traditional friends. An example, to even plant here a laboratory, which in the process they'll also give you trainers, and they'll also ensure that there's that continuous improvement in terms of technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate also the CS for trying to give justice to the family. Also, Chairman, the CS said the NPS or the DCI, they're independent. So I am kindly requesting the committee also separately to invite the DCI to come and explain, because this matter is very weighty. The CS said he has answered in the Senate. No action has been taken, and now before the National Assembly. I am kindly requesting, because this matter has really brought stress even to the community. Your able PS was there with the president, I think in June. The same place, Connie. In fact, President felt for them, he gave them sub-county. You know, those people live far away from Garsen. Around 167 kilometers from Garsen. There is no police presence. Last parliament, we built a police, a very big one. It still is a police post. When the matter comes, they report to Garsen. So I think CS also, you promised to come and open the Tarasa sub-county. I think you should do it as soon as possible for those people to get justice and government service closer to them. So I'm kindly requesting the committee, if possible. I'm not doubting the response by the CS, but 3 months is long, Chair. He said in 3 months. 3 months is very long.
So, I think the CS was clear on that point, that of course having the file already with the DPP, we give him some... Of course,
Chair, I'm requesting
I'm suggesting
for the time.
We are concerned as you are. We know an innocent Kenyan has lost life unnecessarily. So because the CS is in charge and of course responsible with the policy and directive, normally we have a very close interaction and engagement. Maybe once we come back from the recess, we are able to give an update. If necessary, we may call again the CS with the DCI to come.
Most obliged, Chair.
Just quickly, Chair, so that we finish on this issue. First, let me let me appreciate that there are policy issues that are coming from this question, which are beyond the death of Mr. Jarso and also Brian Odhiambo in Nakuru and other places. The question of how do you hold accountable KWS rangers across the country?
Even county rangers.
Yes, I will come to the county one, but for KWS and KFS, KWS and KFS, there is no reason, in my opinion, why this committee cannot propose an amendment to the IPOA Act to include all the armed, as long as not the Kenya Defense Forces, these all other armed agencies or institutions in the country to come under the IPOA oversight, so that then they know that there's a watchdog that is watching them. But there's also no reason why the KFS itself and KWS cannot have internal mechanisms of a separate internal mechanism that deals with the rangers themselves, so that you can be able to deal with these questions of discipline and perhaps improve on training. I'm not saying the police don't have the same problem, that they do, but as soon as it happens, we have a IPOA in place, we have the internal mechanism we have, and now it's acceptable, even within the police command, that there is no need to defend a police officer who has committed excesses because he is operating outside the requirements of the law. We only defend police officers who perhaps found themselves in a fight with armed groups and so forth. But for somebody who goes to kill an innocent civilian, the law is very clear when it comes to the police, but it should extend to KWS and KFS. On the part of the Kenya, the KPR, Kenya Police Reservist, or National Police Reservist, who are either operating as rangers in counties or the security we are using in different places, I don't think, Mr. Chair, there is a reason why IPOA should not be involved. I don't know why. Because they are police reservists. They are part of the National Police Service. They are even coordinated from the headquarters of the IG's office. So there is absolutely no reason. Indeed, cognizant of the challenges we have in terms of command and control of the KPR or the NPR, we have now working on the revised policy that is ongoing. In fact, working together with NPS. I should be meeting the team tomorrow to update how far they have reached, because we want to have clarity. We have 10,000, although we are not very clear because of the old KPR team. When I went to Tana River, I remember Honorable Ali, that people are saying we have even KPRs who are over 80 years old, because they were registered in 1960s, 1970s. Nobody has followed up where they are. They have their old wooden gun, We in this policy, we want to make sure that everybody is registered, everybody is accountable to an OCS in the neighborhood. We have clarity of when do you cease to be an NPR. If you are aging or you become, in fact, in some places, the old KPR, they consider the gun as a family property. So it's always handed over from there to this son, to this uncle, so because there was no clarity of policy on how to manage it. Now that we have up to 400 in one county, 500 in one county, it's important that they are all organized so that they don't become, support criminal activities in where they are. They are accountable to the OCS, but also accountable to IPOA and accountable to the National Police Service, because 10,000 is a critical number. NPR plays a very critical role. Most of these MPs that come from marginalized areas, they think the only request is NPR. When they come, they say, please, we want the NPR. They don't even ask for further deployment of police officers. They ask for locally the NPR. So as we increase the numbers, we want to make sure that the policy. I promise that in the next 2 months, we should be done with this process so that we bring it to this committee. And then we can have a workshop to discuss it. And then we continue with the stakeholder engagement. And eventually, we will have clarity on command. Where law needs to be amended, we will then leave it to the committee with the proposals of amendment so that they can do the amendment. But at the moment, it is standard operating procedures that we want to put in place for the NPR. The last thing is...
So maybe says, because I know Masara wanted to say something, for your information, actually, not surprisingly, the issue of the very ordinary NPR, which we are using in our north Rift, the north part of the country, I don't want to emphasize the importance.
Yeah.
Actually, the problem we have, and I'm talking out of experience, is of course even the game rangers.
Yes.
Because now their recruitment is done by the county governments. Of course, their remuneration done by the same, and majority of the time they recruit their supporters. So here are supporters who are armed with sophisticated guns. Of course, we then have the rogue governors. They convert these people to be part of their militia or organizing group. I'm sorry to use that word, because of course, exceptionally, they are good ones. But now, because I don't want to bring that, it's a big topic, and I think it is a conversation that we will plan. We have been having issues as committee, so that if need be to affirm some loose end in our acts, we need to, because like in Narok, I've given you an example, you are also a constituent there. They don't respond to any command of our police. It is the employees of the governors, they're the support group of our governor, and these are armed people. But now maybe we don't open that. But
no,
we
the
are
point I was just saying is that rangers are KPR or NPR. I wish that understanding was fast achieved. So what we are doing in the policy proposal is to see how then these rangers can be answerable to the OCS in the next door, and where do they interact with the county police, county security committee or sub-county security committee. That nexus is what is missing, both for rangers, and rangers are in Narok, Marsabit, they are in Laikipia, they are in Isiolo, they are in Samburu, they are in Tana River. So a number of these places across the country, and I don't know if Turkana have the rangers also for county government, but it is important that, and the interesting bit of the rangers actually is that they can do a very good job. In Laikipia, for example, they have been very supportive in terms of fighting banditry. And in some, I went to one of the ranches, conservancies, sorry, and I was shown the way they are kitting their rangers, the way they are giving proper guns, of course, with the permission of government, and that technology they use, including drones, has helped in banditry in that area. In fact, I feel like I wish there was a way we would be organizing all the NPR across the country. But of course, they are paid better, they are kitted better. And so we can get value from these rangers. I don't think we properly organized and with proper view of the police service, they can be of great help. And the ones in Laikipia have been of great help in recovery of livestock, including recently where the Conservancy is also offered, including their aerial power to support recovery of a lot of livestock in the neighborhood. So there's a benefit that comes with it. I don't really think that there's anything wrong with the county government establishing and putting these people. And ordinarily, if you are employed at the time of, if the governor is Honorable Tongoyo, and you have been employed at that time, generally, as human beings, some loyalty is here and there. But as long as they're trained and they appreciate that that loyalty cannot go beyond certain boundary because you are an armed officer of a national government, then they will know that they will be held into account. And if we bring IPOA to the mix, it doesn't matter who supported me to be in office, I will try to act independently. And it's also, of course, source of also livelihood and employment locally. So there is a lot of benefits that come with it, including in the conservancies.
We'll close this. Masara, you want to say something? Is it a comment or a question?
It's just a comment. PS and CS, the path you are following is very good, but I took a different path. Why do you think 23 men with a gun shooting one person without a gun? It is a mental issue and psycho support issue. That's why I have a bill And this bill was generated as a result of a research which was done. Now that you see now, in my first term as a parliamentarian, I concentrated on the police officers because these issues were more of in the police officers. But you see now we are bringing KWS, many cases where they are killing other people. So this bill, Chair, I support you. I thank you for supporting it in the third reading. Why don't you go through it so that maybe we can include KWS and other bodies? Because the research indicated very clearly that our men and women in uniform are facing a lot of psychosocial support issues. And the bill is going to bridge the gap. So before it concluded in the third reading, maybe we can see, because in the third reading we are able to include other clauses. So maybe the ministry can go through it so that we fast track it. It will help our men and women in uniform who are carrying guns, because there must be a problem why there are rampant cases of them shooting civilian. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, sorry, I forgot to respond to Honorable Kakai's question on the lab. The lab requires, I agree with him that in some cases we need to work together with our development partners who are willing to support the equipping of the lab. But, you know, this is a security sector. The first priority should, or the first point of call should be the government of Kenya, where it should be ourselves putting resources to this. But I agree with him that where we have traditional partners that we can work together, we can work with them to ensure that we equip the lab. And again, when I engage the DCI, it's not just about we may have time to discuss the question of forensics and evidence and the need for us to finance that sector. You know, because of the competing issues of budgetary concerns, there are even places like, for example, government chemist, extremely important, yeah, but where are the funds? They are generally underfunded, yet they are extremely important in collection of evidence and in prosecution. Part of the reason why there is the delay in the Shakahola closing of the cases is because of the government chemist's capacity. So we need to work towards this. But we have made strides in government. We should not look like we are crying throughout. We have made a lot of strides. But, you know, Kenyans are demanding cutting-edge technology, cutting-edge investigations in the shortest time possible, but we have to balance our ability to finance these processes with also the competing interest in different sectors, including in the social and educational sector. On the Tarasa sub-county and the Kone police station, we agreed that we will equip Kone police station and we will operationalize Tarasa, and I look forward to us going back to Tana River to make sure that that is done, because some of these areas government is very far. And as been explained, you need to go to these marginalized counties to realize the real reason why sub-counties are being created is to cover the vastness of these areas. There may be no much population, but, you know, every life matters, and we must be able to do so. And Mr. Chair, I wanted to clarify that when we talk about rangers, it's not just rangers for the county government. Also conservancies have rangers. So all these rangers and everybody need to be organized. And this bill we are working on and the policy we are working on, actually the policy we are working on, shall answer all these issues. One of the reasons why I'm fairly passionate about reorganizing KPR is because I come from an affected area. And so as a senator, I've seen it through, where you give people guns, you have not trained them, they are not accountable to anybody, so you are not sure which day they will join the crooks and which time they are going to defend the government and the people. So it is important for us to make sure that we organize this issue. Thank you very much, and I think we have exhaustively for now engaged on that issue. Oh, no, something Pierce has just reminded me here. You might need to have a meeting separately. Maybe jointly with the Committee of Wildlife and Tourism to discuss this issue of KWS, and perhaps also another meeting on with KFS, because these issues keep coming. And, you know, the police, they see this as colleagues. So before even an enforcement is done, if you see the amount of delay that occurred in Nakuru, in terms of the access and search for the body of Brian Odhiambo, it was because there were protocols that the police had to get in terms of you have to write, it has to be escalated to DG's office before access is gained to the park. You know, that was totally unnecessary. And I think it's some of those issues that need to be dealt with, because if the police quickly access the park, perhaps evidence would have been, we would have gotten the evidence related to the arrest or arrest of Mr. Brian Odhiambo. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So you can move to the next question, but on the last part, I think I'm going to suggest, or direct rather, we're going to have a joint meeting as suggested by the CS and the PS between ourselves and the Committee on Wildlife, where your office and the KNWS will be represented so that we can exhaust such concerns. So the next question from Honorable Hussein Barre.